I've done over 2,000 cold outreach attempts in the past year, and I'm talking cold calls, cold DMs, cold emails, even door-to-door outreach, you name it. I've done it all. And yet my AI agency is still surprisingly at, drumroll please, $0 per month, right? However, this video isn't just about how much of a failure I am. I still got clients, I still got paid in the end, but this video is more about me explaining the brutal truth behind making money online. And I just want to share the failures, what I've learned, how I got here, and what I'm doing next. Basically, in junior year of high school, I was around like, what, 16 years old. I just was poking around AI. It was getting really hot at the time. And then I knew I wanted to become rich somehow. I figured an online business would be the best way. So I taught myself how to make AI receptionists with the help of YouTube, mainly ChatGPT. And I'm not gonna lie, that process was brutal. It was 3 months of literally just me bouncing off of ChatGPT, just building random workflows at 2 a.m., having no idea what I was doing. ChatGPT was not even that developed at that point yet to even be qualified to teach me. So most of it was just us going back in circles, how to connect APIs, those simple questions. I knew nothing. I started from absolute zero. That's where I started off. Eventually, I was able to catch up. It did take me like 3 months. So after teaching myself how to make AI automations, I started posting on YouTube. That's where I started my journey off. And then I started actually pushing content to LinkedIn as well. And that taught me a lot about LinkedIn and other people. On LinkedIn, I'm gonna show you some of my content that I post, but I actually started getting some traction. But that's when I learned my first lesson about business, which is that having attention doesn't necessarily mean that you'll make money.
But I was told that money goes to wherever attention goes.
Yes, that is true. Wherever people have attention, that means they have opportunity. But opportunity doesn't necessarily mean that it's guaranteed. You still have to like reach out for it. So if you're not able to monetize it in the way, then that means you're not going to get the money. That's basically what I was doing. I was just posting on LinkedIn with no like serious content funnel or whatever. And also at the time, my young self thought it was progress to just be talking with other strangers. I would spend a lot of my time just jumping on random calls with people, and I thought it was progress, right? I mean, if you have LinkedIn, you know what I mean. Like, random people will just want to jump on calls with you. It'll take time of your day. You feel like you made progress jumping off that call, talking about some random AI jargon, corporate jargon, but then at the end of the day, your bank account is still the same. Okay, you gain nothing from it unless they're actually trying to teach you something. But most of the time, it was just me giving out free value. So after that, I did my first 20 cold calls to barbershops, and I got brutally humbled. I also took inspiration from a girl in the online business space named Audrey Lowe. This is who she is. And that was lesson number 2, right? Never copy anyone one-to-one when you're doing something like content or business, because what tends to happen is that you just don't do as well for some reason. Sometimes if you try to copy someone else's, it works for them, but it won't work for you necessarily. So you're gonna have to find some sort of way to twist it really good, but usually it shouldn't resemble whatever the person is doing. Like, for example, I tried copying like Audrey Lowe. I was really inspired by her. She was roughly my same age, making like what, 50 grand per month from copywriting, I think, on Twitter. Yeah, so that's where me, LinkedIn, I started like copying her brand colors. I started like copying the way she wrote, and then like it just didn't work out in the end, right? And after a few months of just dedicating myself to LinkedIn, posting random stuff and making YouTube videos, I got my first client from LinkedIn. It was a guy who reached out wanting to learn more about like my AI solutions. I was like, I could build your free one if you'd like, and then he said, okay, sure. And eventually I was able to upsell him on some features, and I got paid 400 buckaroos. So yay. And that was my first client in the online business space. And then it took me like a painstaking week to build out the solution, but I mean, it was worth it. I'm pretty sure I spent that money afterwards on Meta Glass, but that's also a lesson for you. Every money that you make from your business at first, it should go back into it. I know you probably worked a lot to get to that point, but that's why you shouldn't throw away your momentum on some fancy object, okay? And then I decided, you know what? It took me that much effort just to get to that one point of having one client. So you're telling me I have to repeat that entire thing again just to get one extra client? That felt like nonsense to me. I felt like I was doing something wrong. I think I switched from being a restaurant niche guy into targeting law firms. And reasoning behind it, interestingly enough, ChatGPT suggested it, right? One day I had the clever idea to search up on ChatGPT, hey, what's the best niche for me to target? And then they suggested, hey, why not try law firms, right? And the reason behind why I wanted to try law firms is because it had a couple pros and cons. Pros is you can charge more, and they don't churn as much, like they're more loyal. Lawyers are very referral based driven, so if you could get into one network, you can like actually like grow without doing too much effort. And the pros, which I was willing to accept, it's definitely harder to get in. They're more risk averse. They require a lot of trust. Yeah, they're not the most biggest fans of AI or any sort of tech like that. They're very traditional. They stick to the textbook. But to me, that felt like a challenge, and I like challenges. So I jumped into lawyers, and on LinkedIn, I just started sending out connection requests every day. Eventually, I got banned on LinkedIn for like about a year. So I took it all to YouTube. Yeah, started posting content on YouTube, targeting towards lawyers. And roughly sometime around the summer, after I finished my third year of high school, I did cold emails to lawyers and surprisingly got like 2 responses off of 50 emails, which is like pretty good. One didn't follow through, unfortunately, but the other one did. He booked a call with me several months later, but it's okay. During that time, another lawyer found me from YouTube, and they became my first lawyer client. We ran into some tech issues at the beginning, but that's probably partly due to my fault. I was too reliant on AI, and at that time, AI wasn't also good with creating voice prompts, but it's okay. It felt pointless, alright, I'm not gonna lie, but I pushed through. And also, you're gonna encounter this a lot throughout any journey regarding like AI, online business or anything like that. A lot of the times, it's gonna feel like you don't know what you're doing. Everything feels pointless. How to explain this? Like, you will feel like you're throwing rocks at a wall and nothing's happening to the wall, trying to knock it down. But that's the whole point. You just have to keep going. And a lot of people that watch videos about like business owners on YouTube and them sharing their journey, it all seems streamlined, right? It seemed like they started from A, just went to point B. But in reality, it's like this. It's not linear at all. There's some days where you feel like absolute shit. Some days you don't want to even wake up. You just want to stay in bed. Some days you don't want to take a sales call. You don't want to do outreach, but you still have to do it. Or there's just personal stuff in life that comes to you, but you can't like just stop. So that's the issue. But other than that, I went to vacation to Vietnam. It completely changed my mind. Like, I was just surrounded in an entirely new environment. And this is also my suggestion for any new aspiring business guys out there. Take a vacation to somewhere nice, or do something nice. Book a nice hotel, book a nice 5-star meal, have an amazing experience. It will open your mind, because you need to drop your identity in the short term and just embrace an entirely new identity. And when you come back to your old life, you're gonna be like, why am I living like this? I should be out there exploring the world. So that's gonna give you enough motivation. It's gonna rewire your identity midway. You're just gonna start thinking differently. And anyways, when I got back roughly around August to finish my last year of high school, I was a senior. I spent $2,000 on a mentorship with this guy named Harun Khan. He was blowing up on Instagram. I noticed it. And then the course was $3K. I only had $2K. So and funny enough, I had $1,998 that I had to send to the closer because I didn't have $2K. But other than that, like, I thought that 9 months of progress or so, which led me to almost nothing besides like 1 client or 2 clients, I thought that maybe it's the fact that I don't have a mentorship, or maybe it's the fact that I don't have a coach. Eventually, if you're gonna do some sort of content, you're gonna get 1,000 DMs, 1,000 everything about people explaining to you why you need to join their course mentorship, and eventually it'll creep up on you. So that's what happened to me, I think. And I decided to just pull the trigger. I didn't really hesitate on spending my entire life savings on that mentorship. So I joined. They actually had some pretty decent resources and like methodologies to follow. I started a personal brand. I grew it. I got somewhat decently viral a little bit, or gained some traction on Instagram and TikTok. But I kind of plateaued when I stopped posting, or I just plateaued entirely. And I was still 1K in debt from the guy because I still owed him $1,000. And in that first month, it was just pure, just running, sprinting. I was cold calling every day. All right. After school, Here, let me give you an idea of what it's like to be a high school student trying to start a business and like grow up to this freaking stratosphere. After school, I know during lunches, I would grab food, walk over to either a empty hallway, which is crowded with people, or walk over to like outside in the benches and just dial businesses. That was my lunch. My lunch was 10 cold calls and like a very cold sandwich because I was usually late to get to line. And then after school, I would find a bench in school, sit my booty on that bench for 2 hours and dial. That was my after school. Why didn't I just go home? Well, because my house is like an hour away from commute. I don't own a car, and I would rather dial businesses while they're still in business before they close at 5 p.m. And then, yeah, I would still be doing that every day consistently for the next roughly 3 months, in all the way to the winter when it gets cold. I was even there on rainy days, in misty days during outside. I'll be on the floor, on the cold floor, or in the library. And it was, I don't know, I'm not gonna lie, it was an eye-opening experience. Like there's people walking by, you're getting hanged up on, you're getting yelled at, or just people saying the owner's not here or something. Fellow classmates and students walking by, and they see you just on the floor with a laptop spreadsheet out and you're dialing down line. That was the experience. I don't know. But anyways, that was my journey with high school. It was just like that. I would also be taking cold calls whenever I could, but I just followed that process with my mentor. Unfortunately, the first month I thought I was so confident that I'd have someone to close because I was like 1K in debt, 2K down. But unfortunately, no. Two sales calls, but nothing. Okay. And around winter time, I just went to a sales slump. So I just kind of stopped doing everything. Because up until that point, it's been an entire year of just non-stop action without taking a break. Every day I was doing something. I showed up every day, and like at the end of the day, I didn't have anything left. Like it's hard to explain to a person like, okay, come sit at this desk every day, you receive nothing, you go home empty-handed. Do that for an entire year. It's really hard to comprehend. But then like at the same time, if you don't have a strong will or a strong why, then it will be completely pointless and you'll have a hard time doing that. But anyway, my mentor made us become generalists and we just targeted pretty much every business. But then after my sales slumps, I decided, maybe the issue this whole time was because I didn't niche into a niche. So I decided to jump into the HVAC niche. And I was doing mainly cold DMs and cold calls. Then I did like roughly 600 cold calls to HVAC owners, which is not enough. But then no progress. I've probably gotten like 2 interested people over cold DMs that said they were interested in the demo, but in the end, like they never followed back up after I followed back with them. So recently, I made the last decision to switch back to law firms because I decided, maybe those 2 emails that two people from the lawyer email batch that actually were interested. Maybe that's a sign. Maybe I just gotta reuse that email template and just start blasting it to every lawyer in the damn state and city. So that's what I did. I've up to now I've sent around like 200. Unfortunately, it's not as successful as I remember. Maybe it's because I'm targeting people outside of San Francisco and like there's less people who are familiar with AI. But I'm also gonna start a new tactic. So I'm gonna start posting more on YouTube. I know I haven't posted in like several months. So I'm gonna start posting on YouTube, posting content focused towards law firms and also posting content focused towards like helping other AI agency builders start their own company and grow their business. But then I'm gonna try my best to provide free consultations as one of my main hooks to get people on the line, because up until this point, I think I've been only doing hard pitches, just like saying, hey, you want AI? No? Okay, no progress. Bye-bye. I have some decent experience with consultations and just helping lawyers in general. So I feel like I can handle it. My main downfalls was just putting too much of my trust in AI. Like my mentor would be freaking ChatGPT. I would just be asking it everyday questions. It was like, I was using it I trust in ChatGPT more than my own gut, which is actually that's not healthy at all. You need to use your brain and grow your business brain more and more and sharpen your instincts and your guts. Obviously, that's where I kind of downfalled. ChatGPT is a yes man. It will say yes to anything. And sometimes it will lose track of like what the main goal is. So you just stray off completely into a different thing. So I also have a bad habit of niche switching. So as you notice, I went from restaurants, HVAC, to photography, businesses, yada yada. There's just so much, and it's because I figured like if something doesn't work within the first 2 weeks, maybe it's just the niche, maybe it's just this, I'm gonna switch it. But if you've seen some of Alex Hormozzi's content, you would know that like switching niches, jumping or this and that is not a good idea, because you want to compound your efforts. You want to stay on one track and compound everything. If you just start something new, you start from absolute scratch. So that was the idea behind it. On why nothing I was doing was compounding, even though I felt like I was putting in the effort. 2,000 cold calls, 2,000 outreach attempts, right? That's what I mentioned at the beginning of the video. But if you break that down, 2,000 outreach attempts broken down to several niches, broken down to several outreach attempts, and several outreach methods. So that was another downfall. Another downfall was I wouldn't say it's my age, but it was my experience level. I jumped into this online business phase a complete beginner. I didn't know what a lead was. I didn't know what a sales call meant. I would jump on sales calls stuttering. I didn't know what to say. When I mentioned a price, I was like, I wasn't the best at speaking. So a lot of these skills I developed over time on my own. I learned from other people, from content, and I've gotten confident, a little bit confident up to this point. But yeah, there was a lot of times I fumbled sales calls. There's a lot of times I fumbled like conversations, relationships, because I didn't know what I was doing. So even though having a mentor could fast track all these mistakes, I had to learn the hard way. But I guess the pro with learning it the hard way is that you never forget it, and like you just know how to avoid it better than anyone else. Oh yeah, I've always lacked in volume. I did like 20 cold calls thinking that was enough. Hell no. All right, at the beginning I was absolutely drained after doing 20 cold calls. Nowadays, something like 50 cold calls would drain me. Or you just have to do an insane amount of volume if you're starting out, and that's what I never really understood, because no one ever told me. I just thought do enough outreach or content to the point where you get tired, and then you call it a day. But no, after doing it so long, getting to the point of building something until you're tired won't cut it. You have to build something until you're passed out on the freaking couch or the chair. So that's my 2 cents. I'll also leave the phone number for you to call my demo AI voice receptionist for law firms if you're curious. It's gonna be right here. Yeah. If you happen to be like a lawyer yourself, you're just curious about AI reception, you just happen to click on the video, feel free to book an audit with me, where I'll basically sit down with you for like 30 minutes, 20 minutes, and just look into your entire business, see if there's any gaps, see if there's any way that any sort of AI solution could benefit your business. And if there does seem to have a benefit, I'll point it out to you. But other than that, I won't try to sell any fancy AI that you don't need. Well, unless you want me to. But yeah, that's just a general gist of what I do, how I help people and companies help build their businesses and save clients, save cases.